everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Blind Women Life. I'm your co-host, Christina. So today we are going to talk about emotional intelligence. Now, I wish I could say that this is a quality that I've always possessed, but I would be lying if I sat here and said that. It's definitely a quality that I've had to grow to possess. And I have to give a shout out to my coach, Ken, because he definitely helped me with this particular quality. I must say that I've learned that emotional intelligence is one very beautiful quality that is befitting for a woman, a mature woman, a grown woman, a queen. So let's get right into it. I want to talk about what emotional intelligence is, why it's important. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal experiences with it. And the most important part is how can we grow to develop this beautiful quality? Let's get into it. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, I'm going to read to you the definition of emotional intelligence. It is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. So why is this quality so important, especially for us as women? Because that's what we're talking about today. In my opinion, the quality is so important because without it, we would not be able to function in any type of relationship. When it comes to emotional maturity, we know how to handle our emotions. And as women, we are emotional beings, just like men are. The only difference is we handle our emotions very differently than men do. And sometimes as women, I've been guilty of this. Someone says something to us that's not right. Someone does something to us that's just not right. And it causes us to react. One thing that my coach taught me was to be proactive instead of reactive. What does that mean? According to the Oxford Dictionary, again, proactive means creating or controlling a situation by causing something to happen rather than responding to it after it has happened. You all, trying to master emotional intelligence is probably one of the hardest things that we will do as women if we so choose to do that. Now, let me talk to you about my personal experiences when it comes to emotional intelligence. So, as I mentioned before, I have not always been emotionally intelligent. I would say I have been emotionally ignorant especially when it came to my romantic relationships. I remember there were things in my relationships that my ex significant others have done and said that were just out of pocket, uncalled for, and that were hurtful. And I remember I would just say whatever I wanted to say back to them and didn't even care how they felt about it. And because I'm like, well, you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you right back, honey. Yes, you're going to get it times 10, maybe times 100. That was so wrong of me and so ignorant of me because I had not mastered I should say, I had not mastered controlling my emotions. I have heard so many different men over the years, just in conversation, different, even, my dad talking about this, that one issue that men have a lot with women is their emotions. They're not being able to control their emotions. I have heard this time and time again, and how women like to throw things into a guy's face and they like to hit below the belt. I've heard guys, say this over the years. And I said, it's a problem. It's a real problem. And some women feel justified in how they react to a person. Well, he did it to me, so I'm going to do it to him. But is justification maturity? Does justification equal maturity? Absolutely not in that particular situation. Tit for tat is kid-like. It's not adult-like. And sometimes in relationships, we play tit for tat with each other, and it does not signify maturity in any way. So the question is, well, how do we possess this particular quality? How do we work on this? It is definitely, you'll be a work in progress, trust me, because I was. It's not going to happen overnight. I said that in a podcast some time ago. When it comes to change, it takes a while sometimes for that transition to happen, but it's better to start now than to start later. So I want to share with you some of the tips that I've learned from my coach, from life in general, just by meditating and reflecting on things of how you can master the art of emotional intelligence. And I want to be honest with you, I am still mastering it. I'm definitely pretty darn good at it, though. I must say, I got to give myself a pat on the back because, I'm pretty good at it. Like, people can say things to me out of pocket, and I will literally show no huge emotion over it. I'll tell them how I feel about it, but I'm not going to go, I'm not going to bring up the cause. It's just not going to happen. So let's get into some tips of how you can master the art of emotional intelligence. Number one, be proactive instead of reactive. I mentioned this before. Be proactive instead of reactive. This is something my coach has taught me, and this is something that he definitely instilled in me. A reactive person is something that, okay, you did something to me, so now I'm about to do or say something to you, and this is how it's going to come out, and I don't care how it comes out. But when you're more so on the proactive side, you are trying to attack the actual situation, the actual issue, and not the person. Let me say that one more time, honey, because my coach taught me this. You have to attack the issue, not the person. Because I'm going to tell you, anytime you try to attack the person, you're going to get absolutely nowhere, honey. You ain't going to get nowhere. You ain't going to get nowhere. It is not going to happen. Because when a person feels attacked, what are they going to do? What does just in general in life, what does a person do when they start to feel attacked? They defend themselves. And they might try to attack you back. Is that going to get you good results? No. It's only going to leave you as a casualty, that person as a casualty, or both of you all as casualties. So it's time that we let go of lashing out at people. It's unhealthy. It's toxic. Another way that we can work on this is if you are a religious person, if you are a person that believes in the Bible, pray to God for help. Pray, just pray about it. If someone says something to you that's out of pocket, you take a minute and you say your silent prayer. And then you come back at the right time and express what it is that you feel. Express what it is that's on your heart. Because I guarantee you, as I said before, if you try to talk right in that moment, those words are not going to come out right. So just say a silent prayer. And if you are not into praying, why don't you take a minute to breathe? Just breathe, breathe, breathe a few times if you need to. calm your heart, calm your mind, calm your inside. You might need to take a walk. You might need to take a drive. You might need to do a little exercising, a little jogging. And then you can come back with your emotions more leveled. Now, another thing that's actually helped me is, and this is probably going to sound a little bit odd, but another thing that's helped me is anticipation. And of course, you never want to anticipate the worst, right? But one thing you do anticipate, and I hope everyone anticipates, is imperfection. We're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. We all have said things or done things that we should not have said or done to someone, right? So sometimes when you have that mindset of, I'm dealing with an imperfect person, so at some point they might say something crazy. They might do something a little crazy. Knowing that and keeping that in the back of my head, it helps me to be more empathetic. Now, possessing empathy in all of this might be difficult, especially if you're very upset at the person. But you have to recognize that people are very imperfect and that we are all learning and growing in this journey called life. We are not going to get it right 100% of the time. So we keep beating a person down with our emotions. What do we expect? What we want to do is uplift people. We want to uplift our family members. We want to uplift our friends. We want to uplift our husbands, our boyfriends. We want to uplift people. And a way to uplift people is by practicing emotional intelligence. Trust me when I say people have said things to me that were so hurtful, and I have done the same. I take full accountability for that. But in that process, of someone hurting me, I learned to hold back my emotions. Let me give you an example. There was this one guy that I briefly dated. And after a little bit of time, I noticed that he was not fully healed from his past. Whatever past relationship for sure, could have been other things too. And I noticed that he was starting to project a lot of his negative feelings onto me. And I hadn't done anything to him to deserve that, right? And I remember we were at this particular restaurant and he said something that was out of pocket. And I responded so calmly. I actually didn't really respond at all, to tell you the truth. Now, fast forward, I broke things off with him later on. Not that day, but like fast forward weeks later, right? Multiple things had happened. I said, you know what? This isn't the person for me. So he asked me why, like, why don't you think we're a good fit? And so I was courteous enough to explain to him why, because I thought, you know what, my explaining this to him might help him along the way in his journey of life. And so one of the events I mentioned was the event in which he said something out of pocket that, he didn't say it right, and how it was hurtful. You know what he told me? He said, I did the same thing to my ex-girlfriend, but the difference is she lashed out in front of everybody. She made a scene, cursed me out in front of everybody. And he said, but after you told me that, I learned my lesson. That is a perfect example of the results of emotional intelligence. Now, whether or not he does it again, I'm not sure. But the point is that man said he learned his lesson after I expressed that to him. Because guess what? I never went off on him, never lashed out at him. I could have. I left it alone, actually. But when he brought it up, like, why? This is why. And I told him it was hurtful. I said it just like that. I didn't put no attitude in it, y'all. I just simply said it was hurtful. And he said, lesson learned. Sometimes men just need you to speak to them calmly, and peacefully. And I don't think a lot of women recognize the importance of doing that, being a man's peace. And a part of being a man's peace is practicing emotional intelligence. I'm going to give you an example of me years ago. A guy said something to me out of pocket once again, right? You know how I responded? He got told off. That was shame on me for not practicing emotional intelligence. Did we get anywhere in that conversation? Did anything good come out of it? No. It's time that we start growing up and being real women, grown women, queens. You cannot wear a crown if you do not practice emotional intelligence. So that's the podcast for today. This is a subject that I just thought was so important to bring to the table. This podcast is about healing. It's about inspiring. It's about uplifting. It's about practicing being a better woman. And a part of being a better woman is being more intelligent when it comes to our emotions. Now, there are so many different aspects of emotional intelligence that I don't have time to get into, but I talked about the ones more so geared towards relationships, whether it be, your friendships, your family, or a romantic relationship. We always want to strive to bring peace. We want to strive for peace. As my coach puts it, he said, do you want to be right or do you want to promote peace? Which one? Which one? Do you always want to be right or do you always want to promote peace? Which person are you going to be? And if we're a mature person, we'll be the one that promotes peace. It's all about control. And when we control ourselves, you know what that's also a sign of? Self-discipline. And as one guy told me, he said, there is nothing sexier than a woman that has self-discipline. All right, y'all. Until next time, peace out. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Wine Women Life. Bye, everybody.